Oh, man. Hey, shalom, shalom. Sorry about that for those of y'all that's online. I've been talking all this time and they could not hear me. Well, that's a good thing about being live. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm on 1590 right now, broadcasting on 1590 WFBR AM. And we're getting into the scripture, so y'all didn't miss much by not being able to hear me. It just missed me giving out the span for that. But we're going to delve into the Torah and the Torah portion. The Torah portion for today is called Archei-Mot. So even though y'all missed the little beginning part, for those of y'all online, we got it together. So Archei-Mot is where we're going, and Archei-Mot is the Torah portion for today. So let me see, Archei-Mot. So if you go to Archei-Mot, that will be Leviticus chapter 16, verses 1. So chapter 16, verse 1. Chapter 16, verse 1, that's where we're going to start. And we're going to pretty much be there for the majority of the thing, because we're going to build off of this. Right? So chapter 16, verse 1. And I want you guys to see something. So if we go to chapter 16, verse 1, it starts off, it says, Vayadaber Yahweh el Moshe Archei-Mot. All right. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe after the death of the two sons of Aharon, who died when they drew too close to the presence of Yahweh. Right? Y'all remember this from a couple of weeks ago. Those of y'all who follow the portion with us, y'all will remember this from a couple of weeks ago, that Aharon's two sons offered a strange fire. Like, remember that they offered this strange fire on the altar? And after they offered this strange fire on the altar, they died. And Aharon wasn't able to mourn. Him or his other sons was not able to mourn for his sons that had fallen. They wasn't able to mourn for them. It was like they just had to deal with what had taken place. And they still had to go on because the oil or the anointing of the Almighty was upon them. So what we're getting into now is a kind of circling back, because he's about to talk about Yom Kippur. Now, if you notice right after this, it says, Yahweh said to Moshe, tell your brother Aharon that he is not to come into the shrine or behind the curtain in front of the cover that is upon the ark, lest he die. For I appear in a cloud over the cover. Now, this is going to tell us about the service of Yom Kippur. For those of y'all who don't know what Yom Kippur is, that's the Day of Atonement. So it's going to get into telling us about the service of the Day of Atonement, or Yom Kippur. So it's getting into that. And while it's getting into Yom Kippur, or breaking it down, the sages had this thought. They said, well, why bring this up before Yom Kippur, right? Why bring this up before teaching about the Day of Atonement? And the reason why they said you would do it is because of the death of the righteous. Because the death of the righteous brings atonement. This is something that has been known. And he bragged circles. This is the teaching. This is the understanding, right? The death of the righteous brings atonement. Right? The death of the righteous brings atonement. So this is something that's known within the circles. But for some reason, when it came to people that believe in the Brit Kadashah, they kind of strayed away from that. Now, they didn't stray away from it for the reasons you may think. Brit Kadashah or New Testament only people And you know, my people that only read the New Testament, they don't really look at the Torah at all. The New Testament only people always talk about Jesus or Yahshua being an offering. And they build everything up off of that offering stance, not realizing that that's a drash, which is a teaching that's used to try to expound on something else. And it's really a remiss, or it's really allegorical. It don't mean that he literally was an offering. But we got so many hymnals and so many songs and so many things that's telling us. But the reason why they don't want to look at him as being a literal offering is because the Bible, the Torah says you cannot have a human being as your offering. You can't have a human being as an offering. You just can't. It's against the Bible, right? So I know we try to take the Mashiach out of that realm and put him on some different things, and that's where the carts part waves and it just go this way and this way, right? Because we're not looking at it the actual way that it should be done. But what does the Mashiach represent? Remember, the Mashiach represented the high priest, right? I want to show y'all something. Let's look at the death of the high priest. Now, go to Numbers. Forgive me, guys. I'm trying to rush through because I know I got a short time, and y'all know me on my show. I normally be going in, but I'm like, I got a short period of time, so I'm going to try to span it up again. Oh, I'm sorry for those of y'all who I didn't introduce myself to. My name is Rosh Ya'acob ben Abraham. I'm the Rabbi at Gethsemane Spiritual Temple Congregation, and we deal with different Torah ideas and different things based off the Torah on my station, on my podcast, and that's what we're delving into today. Because I want to explain to us or give us a better understanding, because Yahshua sacrificed his life for us in the same way that we would say Dr. King or Malcolm X sacrificed his life. Now you might say, what you mean in the same way? Was they literal offerings, or did it mean that they died standing for or trying to show us the right way, and they died in spite of that, or they died because of that? You see what I'm saying? We take the word off. We gotta remember, our people, when we use different language, we use it in a slang way. So when we use the language, we're not just using the language and we saying, we're not just using the language in the literal sense or the Parshat, right? We got 4 different modes of interpretation. That's something I had to get into with y'all another time. But just take my word for right now. We don't got much time for me to go down that path. Zakane Scott normally will be on here. I'm going to leave that task up to him because I know y'all are very familiar with Zakane Scott, also from our congregation. He can break that down to you when he comes on again. But for right now, I'm just going to lay that out. We got 4 different modes of interpretation. One is the Parshat, which is the literal, right? A lot of people take when Apostle Shaul and others teach that Yahshua was our sacrifice or our offering, they take that as in the Parshat, that is literal that. So that's where the Hebraic community kind of sways differently with them and say, we can't roll with that, right? But when you look at it, you understand what it's saying, then we'll get a different understanding. So for those of y'all that's with me in Numbers chapter 35. Now, in Numbers chapter 35, we're dealing with a situation where someone causes the death of someone else, right? And they weren't a murderer. It was an accident. It was accidental. It wasn't intentional. They did not mean for it to happen, but it happened, right? So we have this thing called the Avenger of the Blood. If you look at verse Let's look at verse 20. It says, hold on. Let me see. Let's talk about the cities of refuge, right? This is going to tell us about what happens with the cities of refuge. Look at verse 15. So 35:15. These 6 cities shall be for refuge for the children of Israel, for the stranger and for the sojourner among them, that anyone who kills a person accidentally may flee there, right? So if you accidentally take someone's life, you're able to flee to this city of refuge, right? Says, but if he strikes him with an iron implement so that he dies, he is a murderer. So if he strikes him on purpose, he is a murderer. The murderer shall be put to death. If he strikes him with a stone in the hand, that by which one could die, he does die. He is a murderer. The murderer shall be put to death. Right? So it goes on with this barrage of things, right? Then it tells about this avenger of the blood. It says the avenger of the blood. That's your family member that gets hot behind what has happened. This death is because he gets hot behind this death, and he goes to avenge the blood by taking out the person that actually done this, right? So let's go a little further. It says, if he pushes him out of hatred while lying in wait and hurls something at him so that he dies. That's verse 20 or verse 21. Or into me, he strikes him with his hand so that he dies. The one that struck him shall be put to death. He is a murderer. The avenger of the blood shall put the murderer to death when he meets him. Now, what happens if this is accidental? Right? Look at what it says in verse 22, because we see if it's intentional. So the Torah breaks it and says, let us know if it's intentional. And I know y'all might be saying, what does God do? What were we talking about? Trust me, I'm going to bring it all the way back around. I got 14 minutes to go. I'm going to bring it all the way back around, right? All right. However, if he pushes him subtly without enmity, in other words, he pushes him without evil intent, he didn't mean it, or throws anything at him without lying in wait. It was an accident. He was chopping some wood, and the axe came off of the stick, and it hit the person in the head, and they died, right? Or uses a stone by which a man could die, throwing it at him without seeing him. He didn't mean it, so that he dies. But he was not his enemy. He wasn't his enemy. He wasn't seeking to harm him. This was not his intentions, right? Then the congregation shall judge between the manslayer and avenger of the blood according to these judgments. So the congregation shall deliver the manslayer from the hand of the avenger of the blood, and the congregation shall return him to the city of refuge where he fled, and he shall remain there until the death of the high priest. Notice what it says. He shall remain there until the death of the high priest who was anointed with the holy oil, right? So, why did he have to wait till the death of the high priest? Well, the teaching from our Torah portion is explaining why was we talking about Aharon's 2 sons is because they were the righteous, and the death of the righteous brings atonement. And this is a clear example because who's more righteous amongst the nation than the high priest, than a Kohen HaGadol, right? So when a Kohen HaGadol dies, all those who needed atonement and was sent out, even as such a horrible thing as somebody who took somebody's life, they were now atoned for and able to come back into the fold after the death of the high priest. Y'all got what I'm saying? So, that's the whole situation here. So, when we look at the Mashiach dying, right? He is the high priest, right? That's what it says in the book of Hebrews. They give us this allegory of him being the high priest after the order of Melchizedek. So with him death, with him dying, and he not just being a righteous one, but the righteous one, Hatasedek, the righteous one. With the death of this righteous one, it brings salvation. But the salvation comes if you are repentant. So I'm going to show you, because y'all might think, so let's look right here, right? And I'm going to give y'all, if y'all go online, y'all can look this up. It's on myjewishlearning.com, and you can look up about the death of the righteous, and it will bring it up. Or you can go into Google search and search the death of the righteous, and it should bring up Tractate Yoma, which is on, which they give you an explanation for this on myjewishlearning.com. They got a whole article about it. And look at what they say. He says, I don't know about you, but if someone told me that according to Hebraic tradition, the death of someone particularly special atoned for the sins of many, just like an animal sacrifice. See, just like an animal sacrifice, the death of the righteous brings atonement, right? He said, I'd feel like, as the kids say, squeaky. That doesn't sound Hebraic. In fact, it sounds messianic. But it's Hebraic and is all ties back in, which lets you know that what we learned in the Brit Kadashah, the New Testament, is not something outside or something new. It's something that's based off of what they already knew. And all the Mashiach is doing, all Yahshua is doing, all Apostle Shaul or Apostle Paul is doing is breaking down things based off of what he already knows and understands, because we got to remember that he was a Pharisee. He was a rabbi, right? He studied these things. So as he's teaching these things, he knows exactly what he's teaching and how he's teaching it. But the thing is, you got other people who aren't privy to that, and they just read his words and they just go by that, and they don't have a full understanding. So I'm trying to give you some of the full understanding. I got 9 minutes left. Try to hurry up and get this out. 9 minutes left. We got it, people. We got it. 9 minutes left. So this work with me. We gonna knock it out. We gonna knock it out. All right, so look at what it says. It gives different explanations, right? I want you to see this one. Explanation 2, right? It says, I'm trying to skip past every day, just get to the bridge of it. It says, just like the red heifer atones only for those who are repentant. So remember, the red heifer, the ashes of the red heifer, that atones for those that's repentant. When you repented, you bring the ashes of the red heifer, they sprinkle the water on you, and you are atoned, right, for whatever you've done. So too the death of the righteous atone only for those who are repentant, who see at this moment as one that requires and able true repentance. So, for those that are repentant, in other words, you got to be repentant. Now let's go to Romans. I'm tying it all together. I'm trying to tie it all together. I know I'm saying a lot. I apologize. Got 3 minutes left. Oh no, 7 minutes left. Okay, let's break it down. 7 minutes left. Go to Romans chapter 10. Verses 9 and 10. Everybody in the messianic or the Brit Kadashah world knows that this passage right here is teaching you about confessing. You know, this is always what one says when they're trying to come into the fold and they trying to be repentant. They trying to come into the fold. They confess, right? And this is where it comes from. Look at what it says in verse 9, that if you confess with your mouth, in other words, you say with your mouth, you say to the Almighty in your prayer, you confess with your mouth about you being a sinner and so forth and so on. Look what it says. If you confess with your mouth that the Rabbi Yahshua, so you saying that you believe in him in your heart, that he was raised from the dead, right? So this idea is you confess that, because in other words, in order for you to be able to get this, I'm kind of rushing through. In order for you to be able to get this atonement, first you got to accept that the person who died was righteous. Right? You got to have faith in this person being a righteous soul. So that's why you got to confess in him. Like, I believe he was a righteous one. He came down, he lived, he died, he was resurrected, right? So this is what Apostle Shaul is trying to tell us. If you aren't repentant, if you don't believe in him, then his atonement is not going to do nothing for you. It's only when you believe. That's the whole thing with it, right? So this is what Apostle Shaul is stressing. That's why he makes sure he says, confess with your mouth that Yahshua is the Mashiach and believe in your heart that he was raised from the dead. You will be saved. For the heart one believes unto righteousness. So by you having in your heart, you believing unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. For the scripture said, whoever believes in him will not be put to shame, right? So this is the whole thing with all of this, right? The death of the righteous brings salvation. So it's not that he was a literal offering. That puts us in the realm of paganism if we say we believe in human sacrifice. The Almighty does not teach human sacrifice. We got to understand that. You got to come into some agreement with that. Whenever you go and you look at the scriptures where it talks about all the sacrifices at the beginning of Leviticus. Now, one time does it say, and human sacrifice is the best one of all. It says it never mentions human sacrifice because it's not about human sacrifice. It's not about human sacrifice, people. So just want to get us to get that understanding, because we get so caught up with our song. I know we got these different songs and we sing these songs and they mean so much to us in our heart, but we are sometimes singing things that are blasphemous. And just because, if y'all go back and look at last night's episode, and you will see, right? It's blasphemous talking about just focusing on your heart. Because what's your heart? Your heart is filled with wickedness. We always say, the Lord know my heart. The Lord know my heart. Yeah, he does. Your heart is filled with wickedness. Like, what is going on right now? But we all use that term when we want to be able to continue to do something that we've been told, hey guys, don't do that. Then we want to focus on, oh, he know my heart, he know my understanding, he know this, he know that, right? So that's the whole thing with that. So as we tie down, if y'all don't get anything else out of what I'm talking about, if y'all don't get anything else, I want y'all to get an understanding that the Mashiach gave his life for us by going out and standing up and doing what he did, and he was willing to put his life on the line, and he took it. But he did it to show us how we ought to live, what we are supposed to be doing. That's how he sacrificed his life for us. The same way we can say, when we look, and I always try to bring it this way to get people to look at it, when we look at historical figures like Dr. King, like Malcolm X, like Fred Hampton, when we look at all these people who died fighting for us, and we say they sacrificed their life for us. We're not saying that they became an animal sacrifice on an altar. No, we're not saying that. We're saying that they gave up their life to try to make things better for us. That's what the Rabbi did. That's what Yahshua did. And if you believe in his death, you believe he was a righteous person that died, then his death brings about atonement for you. So now we going close to the end. I'm going to go ahead and read off the different things we have to read off. So I want to thank First Philadelphia Church for allowing us to go on their broadcast on 1590 WFBR. I want to thank them for doing that. If you want to get in contact with the representative from there, you can get in contact with Sister Hattie Jackson. Her phone number is 443-467-0416. We also got the International Brotherhood. We got the International Brotherhood of Yahshua's disciples, and they actually have a conference call, and they're going to have service today. And the number that you call to get in there is 1-978-990-5362. There's 1-978-990-5362, and the access code is 4070121 pound. That's 4070121 pound. And also our congregation, as you know, Gethsemane Spiritual Temple Congregation, 3602 Gwen Oak. For those of y'all, hey, Shabbat Shalom, my key. 3602 Gwen Oak. For those of y'all who want to come and worship with us today, we have in-person service today. Even in the Baltimore area, you are welcome to come through 3602 Gwen Oak. Just come right through, and our service starts at 1. A service starts around 1:30, but the doors open at 1 o'clock. All right, so you can come through, get ready for our service there. We also have a line in which you can call in as well if you aren't able, or you aren't in town. Maybe you're somewhere else and you want to be able to log in and just go. We also have a number that you could call. Is 347-450-6962. That's 347-450-6962. And the access code is 541-379-610-2586 pound. That's 541-379-610-2586 pound. All right. So please check us out. I went way over my time. I want to thank WFBR for being for allowing us to come on the broadcast. And I bid you all Shabbat Shalom. All right, so I just got off the station. I'm going to try to tie things in for you guys because I know y'all missed some of the stuff because of the beginning. It was muted. Shout out to my brother who pointed it out, because I would have been going on and on. So let's give it up for him for logging in early when I first went live. Thank you, Aki, for that, because I wouldn't have knew that it was muted. I'd have been going on and on and on, and nobody would have got that message. So yes, just want you guys to remember that the death of the righteous brings atonement. The death of the righteous brings atonement, right? So just want us to keep that in mind. We're going to get out of here. I have to get ready for Sabbath school. So get out of here and get myself together for that. Well, I have to teach that as well. And also get myself together for service. But hopefully y'all have a great Shabbat. Again, I appreciate y'all for being there with me. And just have an awesome day. This was a good day. I just got to get used to it. I'm used to doing everything just on an online thing. So when I'm actually there, I'm going to try to call them and see maybe for the future if I'm able to do something where I can just be right on there as well. But hopefully everything went well. Hopefully everything was heard great on their side. I appreciate all of you for being on here with me. Let's give a big hand clap for you guys. All right, and I bid you all Shabbat Shalom.
Shema Yisrael Adonai